Welcome to the Healers Café, the number one show for medical practitioners and holistic healers to have heart to heart conversations about their day to day lives while sharing their expertise for improving your health and wellness. So, welcome to the Healers Café. And today I'm with Dr. William Kalatsky. And he was originally a chiropractor, and then he developed a method to clear emotional trauma in minutes using frequency, one of my favorite subjects. So now he's being researched in collaboration with the University of Miami. And I don't think we're going to say a lot more other than start the conversation. And first question really is, how did you get into this? Chiropractic, okay, I can understand, but why don't you give us a little bit your history and then what got you
Sure.
to that'd be
Yeah,
okay.
well, chiropractic goes back to when I was a kid because my interest wasn't actually chiropractic. It was that my brother and I were diagnosed with Crohn's colitis. And we met a chiropractor who had done this kind of interesting work using energy frequency. And he said, give me a few months, and if you're not better, then do the surgery as recommended. But if it's not an emergency, don't do it first. So we took a few months and we both got better. And at the age of 12, you're kind of amazed when you're really told this is the fact, you're stuck.
Yeah.
And somebody helps you, you think it's magic. So he said, if you go to chiropractic school, I will teach you. So that's how it started. And I just had such an interest in consciousness my whole life since
Right.
childhood, reading books on science fiction, people with awareness and abilities. And over time, working on thousands of people over the years, paying attention to patterns allows you to notice new things. So a number of years ago, I discovered the frequencies to clear migraine headaches and other kinds of headaches. And I was put into the hospital system in the UK as a referral for women with migraines that were pregnant that maybe the meds didn't help. So
Right.
that frequency work led me to discover the frequency of all the emotions.
Mhm.
And in noticing that, it suddenly allowed me to realize, oh, if somebody has grief or anger or resentment or jealousy or rage, by connecting to that frequency, it can be dissolved, it can be disentangled from the body.
Yeah.
So that was the basis of this work. And now it's become, I mean, I start teaching in November. It's become very, very popular amongst those
Oh
who know
yeah,
what
I
it
get it.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Very cool. But so, I mean, frequency, I I relate to that
Mhm.
word, but I know that there's a million other frequency systems,
Right.
but others, what is it like anything? Is it based on anything?
It would be like this. When you walk into a room and a couple was in a fight and you sort of sense it in the air, right?
Right.
A lot of people do that, and your nervous system is attuned to that on some kind of
Correct.
level. So I've developed the skill set, the ability to finely tune that to where I can really find not just that emotion, but track it. And it's akin to if you ever put your hand in a fish tank to try to get some debris out of the tank, if you move your hand fast, it's the water and the debris goes right around your hand. So you start to move very slowly, and as you match the speed of the water, you can close your hand on the debris and take it out. So
Right.
what I'm actually doing is matching the frequency, the resonance of the emotion, and once you do that, you can connect to it. And once you connect to it, you can disentangle it from the body. So the big discovery is really the body doesn't keep the score. The body's
Right.
being programmed by a frequency that
Yeah.
makes the body feel a certain way. And so,
Right. So do you, I mean, I don't know. Do you know Bowen therapy by any chance?
I don't.
Okay. So I'll
I know
tell
it's your college.
yeah, it is my college, but just
Yes,
to give you three words on it so we can have a conversation
sure.
of sort of similarities and not. But so bone therapy is a physical therapy,
Mhm.
and it, in my mind, it works through frequency.
Yeah.
And I have attuned myself after 30 plus years of practice, but to actually feel where where things are feeling blocked. And I teach my patients to also say, okay, where do you feel what? So if they
Hmm.
feel pain, it's obvious, right? Because we can do.
Right.
But if they have an emotion that comes up, we use the Chinese medical system,
Hmm.
determine that, but also just go there. And then from that, you can do a move that, I don't know, I don't know how to explain it, but you connect to it
Hmm.
and you can move it because you've got the person's consciousness and the experience of relaxation through the parasympathetic. And then there's something that happens. It's not very scientific explanation. I'm working on it.
Hmm.
But tell me how is it different? How do you work with people? And tell me
Sure.
what you're.
Well, I do my private sessions, I do 90% or more over Zoom. So it can be done anywhere in the world.
Geez.
And yeah, and so the negative emotion, whatever it is, whether it's grief, I just announced today, that I'm very honored. I just got invited to start working with military veterans with PTSD.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've worked with a number already, but they have the more extreme the trauma, the bigger the change, right? Because there's
Yep.
more energy stored.
Of course.
So I do most of my work over Zoom, and then I do large groups in person. And I'll do those around the country. I'll do them in South America. And what I love about the large groups is everybody gets to see tangible results, especially when I
Right.
bring one person up to the front. So the work is done by feeling on my part,
Yeah.
tracking the emotions,
Yeah.
asking some questions. First, I clear some of the static in the mind, so that way I have access. And that also sounds like, what does that mean? Well, it means me as an antenna and you as an antenna, we're always transmitting and receiving information.
Right. Right.
Right? When we're in our Wi-Fi, area, when near our router, we are receiving radiation. Right?
Correct.
When someone is sad or happy, we feel it like an empath, we're receiving. So we're always doing something. And so what I'll do is connect to their frequency and really mostly just untying it or detangling it, because the system knows what to do once
Mhm.
you remove the obstruction. It knows how to
Mhm.
rewind itself, rewrap
Yeah.
itself the way it's supposed to be. And
Right.
so that's what I'll do. So I'll connect to it. I'll ask the person to feel the feeling. Once they can feel the anger, the grief, the sadness, whatever it is, I can then feel the density change around their body, around their system. And then I can connect to it, clear it. And then finally, I take them through a guided meditation while I'm expanding their field to install the frequencies they want in their life. Happiness, joy,
Mm.
whatever it is. So that way, because when there's so much empty space and you feel so clean inside, we have to put something there. Otherwise, you're going to put on the TV news and get depressed.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be counterproductive entirely.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Very interesting. And it happens again, you said very quickly within moments once you're.
It's about the difference starts immediately, but to clear something, like I just worked with a family this 2 Sundays ago. A woman was there. She came in from Jacksonville, pretty far from Miami, because her husband committed suicide. And she got there because a month earlier her sister came, who was the husband's sister. And so when you see, sometimes they'll allow me to record, and I think it's a great idea to do with extreme situations, because the changes are so beautiful. I mean, there's tears in the room because you're watching somebody suddenly smile again and feel this space inside of themselves. And so it happens so fast that it's surprising. And that's one of the reasons University of Miami is doing research with me, because we all want the data. We all want to see what's happening,
Yeah.
and some products around it, basically, also to make it a consumer type of thing that people can use in doctors' offices to quickly calm their anxiety and things like that.
Mm. So with PTSD, what I mean, I know it ranges and all of that, but
Sure.
how is it something you must repeat, or you go through different layers of emotion, or
Yeah.
how do you
Mhm.
work with that?
Well, so depending on the situation, it's very sensitive, right? I mean, it's like having a bruise that just
Mhm.
happened on your face, that you could touch it so gently and it's going to still hurt as if it's
Mhm.
horrible. And so we work with the field and just clear, first clear the outer layer. Here's the immediate um tension, or like electrical charge, and we clear that. And then I'll have somebody take a breath, close their eyes, see how they feel then. If they say, oh, wow, yeah, it feels lighter, I don't feel it as much, I'll say, okay, good, let's turn it up. Try to think a bit more. I'll even, depending on the situation, talk through it in a way that makes it feel scarier or worse temporarily, because I want it to come up. The more the feeling comes up, the more
Right.
we can clear it. And then
Mhm.
we'll just cycle through. And then often the person will say, if it's a strong case of PTSD for something that's, one of those unimaginable situations, um, it's something where the change is fast, but there's a gentleness, because I don't, it has to be much more incremental. So instead of maybe 15 or 20 minutes, it might take 25, because I'm going to move a little slower.
Right, right.
But if it's just something like grief, that's something we can go right in on.
Yeah. And also, I think, I mean, my feeling is that the body won't let you go deeper than it's able to handle. There's a natural kind of,
Kind of. Yeah, it's a yeah, it comes from a state of resonance. So sometimes I explain it like this. Like, if I come up behind you and I grab your shoulders and I begin to shake them, and I'm just shaking them, and I keep following behind you all day, shaking your shoulders, I'm putting a vibration in your system, and you start to get annoyed, but you forget I'm doing it. And then someone comes up to you and you're in a horrible mood, and they say, "Do you know William is shaking your shoulders?" And they move me away, and then you're suddenly not shaking, and you say, "Oh my God, I feel so relaxed. I had no idea that was happening." And
right.
that's trauma.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
vibrating us at a frequency that needs to be curbed,
Mm.
or it's like a guitar. If you put your finger on the string, the tune will change. And if you never
Yeah.
take your finger off the string, it's always going to sound differently until we're able to take the finger off.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's an intuitive method in the end. It's not like you use Rife or any other sort of
No.
frequency that has sort of a disease in mind, or
Right.
bacterial
Yes.
resonance. It's not like that. And emotion, I mean, they have, there's all kinds of stuff there, but you, you're you're working directly with the client or patient, and then you're getting in there and moving things when the time is right to get
Yeah.
in from it.
Yeah.
Okay, so it really has nothing to do with chiropractic per
It
se.
doesn't. No, no, no. But if not for having my hands on so many people for so many years, I would have never noticed the patterns.
Correct, correct. Yeah, and have that comfort of, you know, dealing with a body, and yeah, because I
Yeah.
know I do teach people that don't have training, it's just so they do it for their families.
Yeah.
And there's a different level than if you've been in practice doing whatever,
Sure. Yeah.
you definitely know them.
Yes.
Wow,
Mhm.
that's quite spectacular. That's very exciting. I might want.
It's exciting and it's fun. I don't even, when I talk about clearing emotions for people, I'm really talking about clearing the cause of the emotions. Because as humans, we feel emotions make us human, right? We know we're a human because we feel things. It's one of the
Right,
ways we're driven to do things or afraid to do things. And we don't realize there's a little lever, a little code that's actually vibrating us to act a certain way. Just like if you're ever on top of a high diving board and you're terrified, you can't jump, your body's frozen in fear, that's really a frequency that's freezing your body. And if we
right,
were to clear that fear suddenly, however we did it, you'd be able to jump. So it forces us to do things, it locks us. Occasionally, I've worked with people that were not well, health wise overall,
yeah,
and they were very scared. And one person had to get these supplements and pills and things, but she asked me to clear the fear. So we cleared the fear, and 2 days later, I checked in and I said, "How are you doing? Did you get your supplements?" Things like that. And she said, "No, no, I think I'm fine." And I said, "Okay, well, here's the thing. If you're not going to be fearful and use that as the driver to get what you need right now, you need to organize yourself and do the things your doctor tells you to do, because fear is going to drive you to do things. And we have to make sure it's not needed. If
right,
there's a
right,
fire behind you and you decide you're not in fear, you might not move,
right. Fair
but
enough.
we don't want it to overwhelm either."
No. Now, with a case, let's say, of pain, well,
Hmm.
I can talk about my partner because other people have heard about it in my podcast.
Hmm.
Because
Yes.
it's not when I started these podcasts 5+ years ago, but he developed a situation that became worse and worse. And of course, we have done everything under the sun,
Yes.
energy work, we've done homeopathy, we've done Bowen, we've done, it doesn't matter. I know it doesn't always fit, and it's maybe not the right time and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, so so people who are following me might know the case, and it'd be interesting, your opinion on this. So his nervous system is like totally in panic mode because his pain is 11, 12 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
And he has periods where the pain goes down to 6. And what the condition, was diagnosed is post-herpetic, or not herpetic, shingles neuralgia.
Okay. Got it.
In the inner ear.
Okay.
And it's excessively painful.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if I were accidentally to touch his head, he would go into total pain, total panic, panic,
Mm-hmm.
as in pain panic. It's like this, it's
Mm-hmm.
right. And then he would calm, down to a resonant level of discomfort. And we did try some drugs, conventional ones, because after a while it's like, oh, but they
Mm-hmm.
didn't do anything, and he didn't last long because he had so many of the side effects. So we're moving, and that's actually why I'm in Mexico. So,
Okay.
looking doing now oxygen therapy.
Mm-hmm.
But my heart always thinks that things are, that's like 3D, but if you work at 5D, it doesn't make, it
Yeah.
all, sure, do a Myers cocktail, do a few things, like, natural things. But still the root is, it's somewhere else. And,
Right.
we know how it started, we live in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And in British Columbia, which is probably one of the most corrupted aspects of government in Canada, and we were mandated, people were
Yeah.
to do things.
Yes, I figured.
and we escaped that. So,
Oh, good.
yes, I know, like, we're not in the genocide plan here. So, but the thing is, this is a very common side effect.
What would your life be like if you were pain-free? If you were one of the millions who suffer from chronic pain, the thought of just one day without it may seem impossible. This is often because conventional medicine tends to fall short in the treatment of pain, opting to prescribe pills or recommend surgery rather than getting to the root cause of the problem. But if you are suffering with emotional or physical pain, there is hope. Join the founder and CEO of Bowen College, Manon live online for your body-mind reboot. Learn how to listen to your symptoms and get to the root cause of your pain. Plus, be trained in basic Bowen therapy moves so that you can reboot your body for optimal health. You don't have to live in pain. You can heal. Stop the pain pill cycle by visiting www.yourbodymindreboot.com to learn more and to register.
This outside of heart disease and whatever, the numerous,
Yeah.
I think 279 side effects that they finally admitted to. Anyway,
Mhm.
but okay, I digress. I've been banned anyways from too many places, so I don't care anymore.
Wow.
The
Yeah.
truth is coming out.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, but so we were having dinner, and the suppression of not being able to actually talk to anyone, because
Mhm.
what happens is, if you can't talk about what's happening and everyone thinks you're a tinfoil hatter, right? And
Mhm.
it's like, and we're not that social, so small talk is, and where can you go with small talk? How's the weather? Oh, they're at it again, crisscrossing the sky. It's like, it gets really limiting, right? If you're going to be truthful and
Yeah.
stay in integrity, right? So anyway, so the suppression of that, like, we didn't want to rock the boat. It was a big family dinner, and we decided we'll try and as non-provocative as possible, because, you know, we're very close to our family, and they were, you know, they didn't treat us like leopards that can't come in and can't hug babies, like none of that stuff. So we were like grateful that we could have normal life. But that impacted him so deeply that it's shortly after that that the neuralgia took place. And so that's the core. And we've tried different things, you know, it's an anger, it's you know, it's feeling paralyzed, you know, not not whatever. Anyway, and you know, it's not like he doesn't admit the cause, like we know what it is. We haven't been able to get to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I could, you know, I can offer your partner a session, and we could record it if you want to. And
oh,
because,
I'd love
yeah,
I would love to. I would love
because what happens is, you know, there's the physical body, there's the emotional body, and there's a mental body, and then there's the field, right? And so my work's called Field of Consciousness, fieldofconsciousness.com. And so I'm working with the field to connect to the frequency that connects to the emotions. From the emotions, I access the body, right?
Okay.
So it's like everything is a lever. Each area is levering the next area. And from an emotional perspective, once we get to the emotions, when we start to clear those, you know, imagine somebody's very angry. They're tight, right? Their body looks really tense. That's a lot of electrical activity in the muscles, in the whole system. And when I work with somebody and we clear the emotional body, the emotional tension, suddenly I'll say, get up and take a little walk. And they'll get up and walk around and go, oh my God, this is amazing. You know, everything just lets go because you're letting go of all that electrical activity that you've been holding for too long. And so I'm sure it will help with the, let's call it the hypersensitivity.
Which is exactly where it's at.
Yeah. And there still may be things underlying it, but that's a different story. But in terms of the frequency of the emotions, when you clear that, there's so much more peace, and obviously the body functions way better under peace.
Of course, because that's what, you know, what's happening is, you know, from everything I know, you know, you have to be in parasympathetic to heal. Well, he can barely get out of this state, right? And he's not actively angry anymore, but that would trigger, right? And so, you know, and then I know that trauma adds itself to previous trauma. So
exactly. That's right. Yeah.
But, you know, then of course that. So we went deep into childhood stuff. We went, oh my God, you know, and with different people too. Like, you know, like I've been very honest about this is a search.
You know, I've talked and said to people things like, when you have your initial trauma, the next trauma is not clearing that first trauma. Because if you have to keep living your life as if in that constriction, you don't get to live your fullest life.
Right.
And that in itself is traumatic. And if we're living under a filter that is highly traumatic, meaning something happened to us a long time ago. And for instance, when I worked with somebody who had a fear of dogs, they were bit by a dog as a child, they're afraid of dogs. Every time they see a dog, stress response. They leave their house, what if there's a dog? Suddenly we clear this fear of dogs, and they're going out going, oh my God, I love dogs. Oh my God, this is crazy. I've been so afraid of dogs. They're not getting the cortisol response anymore. They're able to go out without fear. I mean, imagine the overall level of change in their life.
Yeah, totally.
And so trauma number 2 is always a reflection of trauma number 1, because you're living in constriction. You can't ever fully express yourself with that filter over your whole being.
No, exactly. And it's very interesting that the shingles chose the location of the ear because as a child he was set on fire on his ear, right?
Wow.
So, wow, this is so, I mean, it's not always that connected, but it was so connected, right?
Super interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, it's been, okay. So I was also using this as an example how you would work with people, but I would love to do that. Happy to record it. And he's done several recordings. So
I'm sure.
It's a year and 10 months of this level of pain. So
sorry to hear
we're done, you know, so let's say.
Yeah. Well,
And
let's do that. I'd be
yeah,
happy
I
to.
would love to do. I mean, like, I and him, I'll speak for him.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
let's do it.
great. Okay. Um, so now let me ask you, so when you do group sessions,
Hmm.
because when I teach, I teach obviously in groups, but
Hmm.
healing is way more augmented, I find, in a group setting. I don't know.
And what do you mean by that?
So in other words, when I got my license removed as well. Um, so it's what happens in Canada, you know.
Yeah, I bet. I've
So,
heard.
but I'm retired at this stage. Anyhow, when I did one-on-one, lots happens. But I
Hmm.
found that when I'm teaching and we're in groups, and I teach through the pains of others. In other words, I use everyone as an example to get through the whole teaching,
Hmm.
and that's how I train my other teachers. What we found is that the healing is that much more intensified, as in faster, clearer. Like what might take 2 sessions takes one. You know that type.
Right. Yeah. Got
Uh,
it.
Does that make sense in your? Because yours is fast. So if it's fast, you're never really doing a whole bunch of sessions.
Well, yeah, with my work, a session is about an hour. The longest
Okay.
part of the work is the installation, meaning the guided meditation where we install the emotions to replace the ones that are gone. Sometimes somebody will come in with uncertainty about how they feel. So they're like, well, I have this and I have this. The more things you have, I mean, really, we can do about 2 solid emotions per session. If we do 5 or 6, we sort of, it's, a lot of times it'll jump around because somebody who's new will say, I think it's this, but no, it's changed to this. And that happens because when you clear one, the next one shows itself. Oh, it's not really anger. It's really frustration. Oh, it's not really frustration. It's disappointment. It's not disappointment. It's sadness. But really, it's just because that's what's up after we clear the top one. So
Right.
I'll always get a 1 to 10 base number. Like, how bad is this anger? 10 out of 10. Because I know what happens next. They say, I don't think it's anger. I think it's sadness. I'm like, well, you said it was 10 out of 10 a minute ago. So, I learned that
Yeah.
we have to get that written down.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
And so it is fast. Most people, maybe they pop in for tune-ups if it's just for one thing.
Mhm.
If it's, I work with people that are in business as well. Those are typically ongoing because there's always something new. It's like,
Right.
okay, deals aren't closing, or I'm feeling down about something that happened. We can clear that. The installation takes the longest because we're not used to training ourselves to hold positive states. We can
Mhm.
hold anger. I can be angry at somebody for 10 years and remember it like it was yesterday. But it's
Yeah.
much, much harder to hold on to happiness for 10 years.
Yeah.
Happiness is something that we say is fleeting because happiness is a much lighter density. It is very gossamer, it's very ethereal. And so it doesn't stay that long. So we have to keep generating more happiness, which is beautiful. I think it's an evolution of the
Yeah.
species. Like we have to find a way to be happy. Otherwise,
Mhm.
if happiness could stay with us as long as anger or sadness, we could sit on the couch doing nothing, feeling happy, and
Yeah.
nothing would happen.
I must say, I think that is my life.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
But imagine you're not creating as much because you have what you want, right? In
Yeah.
the sense
Well,
that if you're totally
you're always
satisfied,
exactly. And the thing is, if you look at life with, and it sounds so cliche, but like with gratitude, just happy that, oh my goodness, these 2 birds landed on this branch,
yes,
and then I make that mean something good, of course, because that's
yes,
where my mind goes. It's like, oh, that means I'm having a lucky day, or whatever the
yes,
story is.
for sure.
And then it's like it just stays. And yeah, for myself, this I think that is my predominant state. I rarely
But
go
if
out.
when you're there for someone like you, when you have that gratitude and happiness, you share it, right? You have a
Right.
podcast, you're share, so you want to give that to others, and that's a natural state of things too. When you have gratitude, you want others to feel that too. We want to
Right.
empathically transfer it in some way. That's evolution.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
But you're going to always find a new thing. Like you're not thinking about the birds on the branch yesterday the way you would think of, if you're not going to remember it today the way you remembered it yesterday, the impact it had.
No, right. Because every moment adds something
Exactly.
new. You're in
Right.
the present, right?
Right.
Like right now,
Exactly.
really grateful for our discussion because I
Yeah, me
find
too.
it's exciting, and I feel like this is where we're going, right? We're going to frequency. We're going to. I've always said healing is actually easy. You just have to be aligned to it properly. You know, it's not like
Yeah.
such a complicated ordeal, blah, blah, blah. But of course, then I have a life lesson that, you know, my
Yeah.
dear partner, there's nothing easy about it, you know, and it's like, okay, now I've got to understand, you know,
Right.
and he has the same positive attitude. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
it's happening for a reason.
Yeah.
It's just not obvious yet.
Right.
You know, we'll figure it
Exactly.
out, you know.
Yes. Hmm.
Okay, but we're done, right?
Yeah. There was one woman who came to a group session that I did, and she had very bad low back pain.
Mhm.
And so I'll ask who's got, the 10 out of 10 trauma. And
Mhm.
she raised her hand and said, well, I do, but I'm really here for low back pain. But I think it might be emotional because I've tried everything else. And so she came up and energetically connected to the system, cleared the low back pain. And then what came up after that was it was loneliness. And so we cleared that tone. And right after loneliness, then came grief. And she started crying. And I don't ask, I said, do you want to share it? And she said, yeah. And she said, my fiance died 1 year ago. It's the anniversary. I can't get over it. And so I said, well, let's clear it. And we did. And if you look on my Instagram, you'll see this picture of a woman in the front of the room with this huge smile on her face. And next thing I know, she's sailing in the Caribbean. And I was just like, wow, this is, extraordinary what happens, because freedom is waiting on the other side if
Yeah,
we
yeah,
can let this stuff go.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's really also a mindset towards what life is about, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's like been there, done that. I don't mean it in the negative way, but it's like, okay, what else, and then how easily do you just flow with what's happening, whether it's
Yeah.
Katie loving what is, which, first I used to roll my eyes when I heard that like 20 years ago. I went, oh, seriously, you've got no idea. But now it's like, seriously, that is the only way.
It's funny. It's two different seriouslys. One is seriously, and then one is seriously. Yeah.
Anyway, William, our time is already up.
Oh, okay. That was great.
Like, did we? I mean, we covered plenty to get people a sense of what you do.
Sure.
Can you? And I'd love to continue this discussion, part two. But where can people get hold of you, or how does that work? Because if you do it online, obviously,
Yes.
the whole world.
I have a website called fieldofconsciousness.com. And you can find me there. Email is william@intuitionmethod.com. Intuition Method is a book I wrote about how to access intuition on a conscious level. Has all kinds of nice exercises in it to understand how the mind works and process things. And then I travel. People contact me and say, hey, will you do a group session in my city, in my state, in my country? And if there's, they get enough people together, I'm there.
Wow, amazing. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing
Sure.
your knowledge and your passion with us.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us at the Healers Café. If you haven't already done so, please like, comment, and subscribe with notifications on, as I post a new podcast every Wednesday with tons of useful information and tips for natural healing that you won't want to miss.